What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we got a lot of stuff that we need to get to today. First, we gotta discuss how our congressional leaders are admitting to the fact that they've been so preoccupied with other things that they haven't even been focused on getting the government funding bill passed. So funding could ultimately get delayed. We're also going to dive into what Senator Joe Manchin is really being pushed for, because according to the White House, there's some support to try to sanction Russia's oil. Here's the problem. Again, we buy 675,000 barrels of oil every single day from Russia. We buy about 8% of our oil from Russia. Europe gets, I believe, 40% of their oil from Russia. So if we sanction Russia, the problem is our prices here in the United States for gas and for products, everything is going to go up. So this is why some are pushing Senator Joe Manchin, is try to get him on board for more stimulus, because it could be needed to help level things out for the American people, as gas prices will obviously increase. So a lot of stuff we're going to discuss today in today's video. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can ask your questions down in the comment section below. All I ask is if you can take 2 seconds, just 2 seconds, and hit that like button. That's it. But let's get into the video. What we know is congressional leaders are now telling us, okay, that they've been extremely focused on the State of the Union address was a big one, which I don't know why they were so focused on that. There wasn't really anything new. They were also, have also been extremely focused on the conflicts in Ukraine, because what's happening in Ukraine is impacting us here on U.S. soil. Now, because of that, they have not been focused at all at negotiating the government funding bill. This is a real issue. They are now saying that it's going to be extremely tight in order to get this bill passed for March 11th. That's the deadline. That's in 8 days. Now, here's what we could see. We are not going to see, according to reports, we will not see a funding bill for the rest of 2022. That's not going to happen. We could see another short-term extension, maybe 30 days, probably not. The expectation is we're going to see a 10-day, very short-term continuing resolution. That's what we're going to see, to hopefully push it back a little bit further so that we can actually pass a bill. Who knows if it's really going to happen, though. Now, I think this is where the American people get so frustrated by all of this. And let me know if you're kind of on this same boat as well. Lawmakers have known about this deadline for quite some time. For the past year, they just keep extending it. Yet every time something is, the deadline's coming soon, it's approaching, everything else seems to take priority except for what's important here in the U.S., right? Here to the American people. And I think that's what a lot of people are struggling with. Just looking at a recent poll, about 60% of Americans are fed up with being pushed to the back burner, that, we'll take care of them later. And let me know if you're on the same boat. About 60% of Americans are saying that. Honestly, I would say that number is higher. Personally, I believe that number would be higher. But the talks of this afternoon were on the $32.5 billion that will likely get pushed into whatever bill gets passed. That's $10 billion that's going to go to Ukraine to help them for humanitarian efforts and aid and food and stuff like that. The other $22.5 billion would actually go towards COVID funding, which what we're hearing right now is the $22.5 billion isn't needed today. That's a precautionary measure in case we see another variant or another surge of cases, in the summer or, next year, right? Or 2 years down the line, that money would be there. That's great. It's a precautionary measure. But what about today? What's going to help the American people today? That's what a lot of people want to know. Now, we did get some more interesting news out of the Senate today because, and I didn't really address this because I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but the Senate earlier this week, I believe it was on Tuesday, they passed a bill. It's called the Strengthening American Cybersecurity Act. Now, this bill, this would require companies in critical sectors to alert government, they'd simply alert the government officials or really a potential hacks, ransomware, or things like that. But what we heard today is that senior officials at the Department of Justice are saying that this bill has serious flaws and that they're criticizing the lack of reporting that would go to the FBI. They believe that the FBI should be more involved, which, according to this bill, they wouldn't be. Based on the bill, the FBI would not have any involvement here. That's a big issue. So we'll see what happens there. But what we do know is that what we are hearing is that this bill, which did have, obviously had bipartisan support, right? It passed. But here's the issue. It had flaws. So will we see those flaws fixed? I don't know. But I just wanted to bring this up because this is what a lot of people have been asking for, is strengthening our cybersecurity. Well, that's exactly what this bill is, the Strengthening American Cybersecurity Act. And a lot of people are worried, what about Russian hackers? What about, are they going to hack into our bank accounts and freeze our assets like the United States is doing to some of them? It could happen. It honestly could happen. This is exactly why last week and the week before that, I actually gave you guys multiple warnings that pull a little bit of money out. If you're worried about what if something were to happen, pull a little bit of money out. Have some money just sitting on the sideline. Maybe a couple $100, right? Nothing major, just a few $100. Pull it out and just hold it. Just in case your assets do get frozen or something happens, at least you'd have a little bit of money just sitting there. So that's always good news. Now, today, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, she stated that the White House wants to impose maximum pain on Vladimir Putin, but that they want to do it by providing minimal pain to the American people. And what she's saying, and she says this, okay, because more and more lawmakers have questioned why President Biden is waiting so long to sanction Russian oil. Well, according to reports, this sanction would be the final straw. This is right before a war, an all-out war. So, if we sanction Russian oil, many expect this is going to get done. Here's the only problem, is that this is going to increase gas prices here in the US. It's also going to increase gas prices in Europe. So reports indicate that the Biden administration is looking for different ways to limit the hurt on rising oil prices. And once a solution is found, they could sanction Russian oil. But we don't know when that might be. Again, this is, according to reports, it's the final straw. And the White House wants to figure out how to limit the financial hurt on financial stress, right, on the American people, because they say rising gas prices are going to be one of the leading indicators. We got inflation, we got rising gas prices. Two things hurting the American people. So they want to figure out a solution to fix that. Then they will go after Russia's oil. So we'll see. Now, just today, the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell stated that they appear to be behind on inflation. And he said, and I quote, "Hindsight says we should have moved earlier. We're going to use our tools and we're going to get this done." What we are hearing is that the Federal Reserve is going to raise rates by 25 basis points. And this is going to happen, every single meeting. So chances are we're going to see 7 to 9 rate increases over the next year. And so just understand, will that tackle inflation? Will that bring inflation down? It will at least limit how fast it's been going up. Is it going to bring it all the way back down to 2%? I highly doubt it. But we're going to see what happens there. So at least that right there, that news kind of reaffirms what we already knew, was that's what the Federal Reserve was going to do. So we'll see what happens with that. But that is a very long-term approach because it takes a while. So that's not going to just completely shock the markets and shock inflation all the way back down. That's not the way it's going to work. And so the expectation is we could be in a recession very soon. And if we get there, if we get close, I promise I will bring you that update as soon as we know. Now, I want to let you know about a new bill that the Senate Republicans passed today. This bill by the Senate Republicans would actually terminate the national emergency declaration for COVID. This bill, it passed in the Senate 48 to 47. Now, President Biden has already threatened to veto this bill if it does come to his desk. but this is very unlikely because it would have to pass a Democratic-led House. And as of right now, the assumption is it wouldn't. But the White House stated that this was a reckless and costly mistake to try and end the emergency declaration. But we will see what happens over the coming days. Now, ending the emergency declaration would actually end some stimulus as well. I believe SNAP benefits would take a hit. You wouldn't get the supplemental benefits that it's like the $92 to $100 per month that many families are getting. Health coverage would most likely end for millions of Americans, and much more. There's a lot of stuff in there that is still going out because we have this emergency declaration in place. And this is why so many people are pushing Senator Joe Manchin to get behind another stimulus bill. Let's push more to the American people with what we currently have. And if we do that, then we could end and we could go back to normal. Because if you watch the State of the Union address, did you see anybody wearing a mask? Right? Do you see people wearing a mask, right now in the White House? No, because according to them, well, this pandemic is over, right? So we'll see what happens there. But let's get into the news on Russia and Ukraine for a second, because today the French President Emmanuel Macron, he stated that he thinks the worst is yet to come. Today, he actually spoke with Vladimir Putin for about 90 minutes. And according to reports, the call didn't yield any diplomatic progress. One official did state that Putin is determined to carry on with the ongoing war until the end. And in a statement issued by the Kremlin, the statement said that Russia's goals in Ukraine will be fulfilled and that the war was going according to plan. Interesting. We do know that Ukraine has received more than $54 million in Bitcoin as well. And this is just coming in as more and more donations keep on rolling in as well. According to JP Morgan, they're estimating that Russia's economy will shrink by 35% simply due to the sanctions imposed by the country to the country and their upper class. So that's interesting what's happening there, and this will be a long-term effect. It's not just be 35% right now and then they jump back to normal. It's going to hurt the economy for quite some time. Now, in some good news, Ukrainians who are here in the United States will actually be given temporary legal status. Now, in order to be eligible for this, though, and I know I got a lot of people that asked about this, how this works. Does every single Ukrainian just get to come to the United States? The answer is no. If you are a Ukrainian here in the United States and you have been here since at least Tuesday, that's according to the reports, then you will have temporary legal status. But if you start coming now or you try to get into the U.S. now, you would have no legal status. Okay? So I wanted to just clarify that because I know a lot of people have been asking, does that mean like we're going to be housing all these people? Like all these people from Ukraine? And the answer is no, that's not the way it works. So just understand you still have to be approved to come into the United States, but people that were already here, you will have temporary legal status. So at least that's some good news there. So that's what we know at this time, but as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all latest news and updates. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.